Hello, friends. Welcome to Nimal Bang. I am Piyush Jain, and today we are bringing to you a corporate conversation around a company which is soon going to be get listed on the bourses. And this company basically is also coming from the manufacturing sector. It's an interesting story from the perspective that company is already exporting worldwide. So you actually are going to listen not only about an Indian story, but also a global story, which is already actually selling its products in India and across the world. Let me now welcome the management, Mr. Narendra Golia, the CMD of Rishabh Instruments Limited,
Thank you.
and Mr. Nitin Kumar Deshpande, the head of marketing business development. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Narendra ji, let's begin from you. I think for any new company, any IPO, I think the first thing we always like to know from the company is how has been the journey? What's the business model? Are you manufacturing all of your products? What are the type of products you are manufacturing? So help us understand, know more about the company.
Sure. So, as you said, first question, what was the journey? No journey is smooth. Even in the days we started in the late 80s, we had no culture of startups and we had no support like you have today. So, it was a hard start
Absolutely.
first. Yeah, first 5 years were really difficult. You don't have a brand name, you don't have a marketing arm. You are the sales manager, you are the purchase manager, you are the production manager. But God's grace and the effort of our team, one by one we built up. We have a very nice team. We built up a team and we built up products. Started with analog meters, went to digital products, went to transducers, went to solar inverters, acquired companies abroad, set up our own sales channels in UK, US. So it's been a long journey. First 5 years difficult, and then they were, let's say, relatively smooth years. The business model that we do is pure manufacturing. We do not do any trading. Very little trading, if at all, you can say. That is the accessories of the products that we sell. For example, the test lead, even that we make ourselves. So we do very little trading. Manufacturing is of two types. One is the electrical electronics, where we are vertically integrated. We make our own molds. We do our own injection molding. We make our own SMT boards. We do our own transformers. We do our own coils. So that way we are very well backward integrated. Same way in the aluminum business. Our second main business is aluminum pressure, high pressure die casting. There also we do the manufacturing of the molds, designing of the molds. Then we do the aluminum melting. There are big furnaces. Each furnace can hold up to 500 kilos of aluminum. Then we do the high pressure die casting. Then we do the frettling. Then we do the tumbling. Then we do CNC machining. And finally, we assemble the products and give it to the customer. Our customers are in various fields. One of them, for example, in the aluminum pressure die casting, there will be people who are in the automation field, and there are people who are in the
Automotive.
automotive section. People who are tier 1 or tier 2 suppliers to automobile industries. There are traditional cars like IC engine cars, and there are modern cars like EV cars, and our products go into all of them. On the electrical side, we supply wherever there is. We call ourselves global energy efficiency solution company. So we supply to companies wherever there is energy. Energy could be in various forms. We help people measure energy, optimize energy, improve the yield, or record this thing, and analyze the data that they gather from these instruments. We started many years ago, which was analog instruments, but world has really gone through a lot of transformation in the last 30-40 years. And therefore today we make all instruments which have their own languages. They speak to each other. They are able to record products. They are able to instruct to each other. They are able to gather data from each other. So other than simple parameters like voltage, current, we started many years ago. Today we make very complex parameters which make the stable grid for everybody. So we have parameters to measure harmonics. We have parameters to measure swirls, dips, and all the parameters, transients, which help people to go along it. I'll let Nitin add something if he wants to, and then we can go to the Next questions.
Yeah, as Mr. Golia was talking about in the length and breadth of the product which we operate in. So typically, there are two parts of our business. One we called as the electrical business, and second we call it about high pressure aluminum die casting business. So if we see electrical business, you can say we are present from home to industry. You can see our products right in the hand of small electrician, and the product also goes to a very high-end applications like the power quality analysis, or let's say insulation testing in substation. So home to industry, is the spectrum of our all products where you can see. So Rishabh is touching the life of people daily, directly or indirectly. And we that is, Mr. Golia very famously, his quote is that, okay, we take the cardiogram of the electricity. So like you have medical instrument wherein you take the cardiogram of the whole human body. So we have the devices which can actually take the cardiogram of the electricity. So we say that we are a people who are into measure, control, record, analyze, and optimize. So anything to do with electricity, I think Rishabh is a name which is very prominent into the market. Yeah.
Right. And in this case, Nitinji, the sale happens. How does the sale happens? Is it happening on credit terms, or basically you get upfront payments? Like, how's the working capital cycle?
Yeah, yes. I mean, once again, there are two parts of our business which I was talking about. One is the electrical part of the business, and second is the die casting part of the business. So credit is a part and parcel of any business, of course. I mean, so our sale is mainly in a B2B kind of devices that we provide. So there are credit terms. Once again, we have got a very strong distribution management. We call it as the channel partners. So typically they get a credit period of 30 days to 60 days, maximum depending on their credibility into the system, which of course is they are with us from a very long time, and they get the credit of that to that sort. But when we deal with the aluminum die casting OEMs, our payment terms are different, in this case. So credit cycle, typically from 60 to 70 days, that happens into our business.
Right. And from the buyer side, when actually you're buying it from the suppliers, like what kind of raw material goes into your products?
Two types of raw material. Once again, one is the electronic components, because we are into a electrical business. So electronic component forms you can say a large chunk of our product manufacturing, and is
that you're buying from China or Taiwan, like how that purchase happens.
Yeah, I mean, of course, for electronic components, still we have a lot of dependency on China, and so is Taiwan. Some parts also they do come from Europe and also from the US side of it, but the contribution compared to China is definitely lesser into this. So electronic part we are dependent on for the raw material. We are dependent on these kind of countries, wherein the CRGO or the steel or the copper or the metal part, typically including the aluminum, the availability is at a local place. If it is in Poland, so in Poland we have got the aluminum die casting business, so availability is locally possible there. Same is applicable in India when we manufacture the product which has got a commodity elements like copper or let's say CRGO steel. So that's how is the operation.
Just to add to what Nitin said, Government of India is now very focused on electronic imports. So they are trying to set up a fab here. They are trying to set up many industries and support. We also get some support from the government in terms of expanding our capacity, in terms of investing in the fixed assets. So I think in years to come, India will also become a big producer of electronic components. This government is absolutely focused to see that our dependence decreases, especially from Taiwan, China, which are, let's say, so-called not straightforward countries.
True, sir. But I want to catch up on. I want to actually sort of ask you a follow-up question on your point here. Have you already taken some sort of a benefit of any PLI scheme? And when you were saying, I was actually starting to guess that perhaps you're eligible for any PLI scheme. Any sort of plans to set up any facility with respect to that? Give us some color on that.
Sure. We are in the MSIP space, which is the Modified Special Industrial Package. Central government of India has announced the scheme. They have approved our investment. So for the next 10 years, whatever we invest, government is going to give us 25% as cash subsidy. That whole thing is approved. So that is one side. And then the second side is the state government. State government gives 100% subsidy for all new investment, but they don't give it cash. They give it by way of reduction in the
remit in the GST?
GST, whatever state GST is there, they will not collect again for 10 years. So to that extent, if you manage your business correctly, you can actually get 125% subsidy, but more is the moral support. So it's not so much the money. Money, of course, is important, but the importance is that government also recognizes that when you are investing, there are risks you are taking. Some investments may succeed very nicely, some of them may not succeed so nicely. So we are investing, we are heavily investing. We are committed to 140 crores in the next 2 years. And after that, the investment will continue depending on the growth of our production. But typically, we are very bullish on the Indian and the world market, not only Indian market.
I have more follow-up questions now because this is becoming interesting. 140 crore investment happening in 2 years, the commissioning time can go here and there. But again, if that's the sort of investment, what's the average asset turnover in your business on a 140 crore whenever it gets commissioned? What's the sort of annual revenue we can expect?
So we are expecting to do the 1,000 crores by March 26, which means the effect of this investment. If you invest in 2 years, the effect will come in the third year. So from 600 crore today, a top line of 594 we did last year, we should do about 1,000 crores in March 26.
Which implies the asset turnover is between 2.7 and 3 times. That's the average asset turnover?
2.5 times, yeah.
Yeah. No, not in the past, but now see what happened. The whole infrastructure is ready. So now you can have more asset turns.
Oh, yes. The plant is ready. It is ready. You just have to roll out sort of more machines, more facilities.
Correct.
Okay, that sounds good. And also, basically, if this investment is actually in line with the PLI scheme, that implies basically the return on equity or return on capital employed is going to increase because you actually are going to get the money back as subsidy from the government. Is that a right assumption?
Absolutely. In fact, if you do it correctly, it would be nearly zero cost investment over a longer period. You may not get it back in 2 to 3 years, but the SGST will take some time to come, but eventually it will come. So effectively, you can say, yes, the return on investment will be much higher than what it looks to be.
Absolutely. And so what is the current utilization and the capacity?
We are hovering around 50%, but that is at the top level because there are assets, for example, molds and winding machines and transformer machines, where you just use 20-30% of your capacity. But there are other EMS machines, for example, SMT machines. There are molding machines, there are die casting machines where you're already using 80-85%. So that is where you will do the investment to bring this up.
That part. Yeah, in that part. Okay. And how the sort of order pipeline looking to you? Like, what's the like in your business also? Are the orders like for 12 months, 24 months, or they come for a particular set of volume? Like, how the sort of purchase happens?
Yeah. So let me split into two parts. Aluminium pressure die castings. There, the customer makes a special mold. Mold could be anywhere from 1 crore to 2 crore each mold, and they will have a contract with you, which may last 4 to 8 years. It's a definite contract with volumes stated and a variation of 20% allowed. So you have a very high visibility. At least 3-4 years, you have very good visibility. On the electrical side, it is different because you have both channel business and you have OEM business. OEMs are regular buyers, but the commitment they give you is only for the next 4 to 6 weeks. But there is a lot of historical data from which you know the market, and there are no large buyers. The largest buyer may be less than 4-5% of our turnover, group turnover. So to that extent, if A doesn't buy, B buys. If B doesn't buy, C buy. But the market is so spread out and so huge that the more we produce, we have seen the more the backlog increases. So we've never had a situation where we don't have demand for any of our products. And we know India is modernizing, India is growing, India is having infrastructure. But so is the world. Spain is modernizing the whole electricity distribution system. US is modernizing the whole electricity distribution system. And all this is generating demand for our products. So we see a very good visibility. But normally channel buys, let's say week to week, the orders they place. But when we see the data, it never happens that channel suddenly comes or suddenly goes away. Even if it is there, it is very gradual. So we have a very good visibility.
Okay. One question, perhaps, Nitinji, coming to you on the margins. Uh, how has been the commentary across the globe? Is it almost a similar kind of demand commentary you have been listening over the last 6 months, 12 months? Any particular sort of area where you actually are seeing very high euphoria in terms of orders? Please help us understand.
See, if you look at our business, as you know, we spoke in the beginning that we have two parts of the business: electrical business and the aluminum die casting business.
Aluminum, yeah.
Within this also, we actually operate into five verticals, though it's an internal segregation, but it ranges from electrical automation. Then we have second vertical we called as the metering, control and protection devices. It's very popularly we called as the MCP vertical. Third is the portable test and measurement instrument. Fourth is the solar string inverters, and fifth is the aluminum die casting. So if we look at the demand side of this and margin side of it, so we have got different products which are placed under these five buckets, and the demands are coming from different areas. So typically looking, I mean, for each and every sector, there is some kind of tailwind which is available. So just to take an example, solar, I think I don't need to speak because that is a word which is being spoken at all the levels that. Greener energy is the future. I mean, there is nothing called as like a black energy now, but greener energy is going to the future. So there's a lot of demand into this. Initially, solar inverters, I mean, if you see, there are hardly any manufacturer who has got his own design and manufacturing the solar inverter here in India. So obviously,
sorry to interrupt, just jumping in between. If are you saying the solar inverters are going to solar plants also, those large utility scale solar plants?
Yes, definitely yes. So I mean, range of solar inverters nowadays, yeah.
So that's basically a very sort of a large source of demand because that is happening across the world. So that's important to note, I think. Please proceed.
Yeah. So I was on a point. I mean, so for each and every vertical which I was talking about, it has got some of the other kind of tailwind. So solar, of course, if we talk about MCP, that is metering, control and protection devices. So as Mr. Golia also spoke, I mean, we have migrated as a country or transformed as a country from very conventional devices to a very high-end devices. So devices are like becoming, in a true sense, they are becoming smart. They are talking to each other. They are able to, store the data on the clouds and transmit the data. You are able to see and witness everything on your mobile. Not only see, but also able to control the devices from your mobile or from your desk station. So we say that the system transparency is increasing completely, and user want more and more information about this thing.
I would like to ask one question here. Any impact from the recent European slowdown, or largely these are long gestation projects, so no impact seen?
Yeah, no, I would not say no impact. Of course, energy costs went up suddenly in Europe. What in Lumel Aluquash, 3% of our sales was energy, went up to a height of about 8-9%. Customers did not give us the rise immediately. They have their own gestation period. But let me say these were slow aberrations. We have come out of it. Customers have accepted the new norms, and also the prices have fallen. But other than that, it has only increased the demand. This war, when the reconstruction starts, there will be a massive demand in Ukraine. We're already seeing that, in our Lumel, Lumel SA, electrical electronic devices, there is a big demand there. So, they say one man's food is another man's poison. So from that point of view, we see that this war has only helped us create a more demand for products.
Right, sir. So my follow-up question will be on margins as we move towards our last 2-3 questions. EBITDA margins have seen a trend. There has been a healthy sort of uptick in the EBITDA margins. Usually tells you two things: either innovations are giving you an edge in the market, or secondly, perhaps you actually are capturing orders in a space which traditionally is a high margin product for you. So help us understand the sort of EBITDA margin uptrend here. What has been the chief reason for that?
Yeah.
And also, just one question, sir. I'm sorry. Is there any seasonality in your business?
Yeah. So I'll answer. You already answered it when you say EBITDA. Why we are high EBITDA? One is, of course, the product mix that we do. One is the R&D that we do. We choose our products, and especially COVID has taught us that the demand is quite inelastic. Because of the innovation that we do. Customers for a couple of percentage points will not go away. More and more people are graduating to using high-end products.
Yes.
So to that extent, I think the EBITDA margins will only improve from what they are. We are, really working hard on our innovation side. We have about 95 engineers working in R&D, and they will ensure that we have better margins in the years to come. So that was it. Second part of the question was what?
Second part
Yes,
of the
second part of the question was that is there any particular part of your business which is much higher margin than your average margin?
Yes, definitely. Export business is much better, and the products that you develop. For example, we developed an insulation tester, which is used for measuring the insulation resistance in high voltage and medium voltage lines. There, the margins will be much better, as much as 70% at gross margin level. Whereas in the traditional products, you will have much lower margins. For example, analog meters. There also margins are good, but they may be 40-50% versus 60-70% in the newer products.
high-end products.
And the more high-end products that you develop, this only goes better until those products become run-of-the-mill. So when you start with 70% that the insulation tester that we develop. But let's say in the next 3-4 years, competition will copy that. So you will have to probably bring it down to 40-50%. There is no seasonality. Just to answer your second question, was there is no seasonality, except the point that in the month of March, which is the year end in India, and in the month of December, which is the European year end, there is people have budgets. Budgets are expiring, so there is a little higher demand. But otherwise, let's say first quarter we say 21, 22, 23%, and the last quarter is 26, 27%. No big seasonality.
Noted, sir. To my perhaps the last question, which you just touched upon a point, and I was going to end our show by asking this last question to you. For our viewers, again, who would be actually looking at this IPO, the company, the business, and we have talked about so many interesting things here, and I'm trying to now round up towards an interesting statement here. What perhaps is that competitive advantage which Rishabh Instruments basically is commanding, or actually which is giving it an edge over the market?
Yeah, one thing I mentioned is the backward integration. So the deliveries which we are able to give, especially in the electrical business, people really want short deliveries. And because we do the molding, we do the die casting, we do the assembly, we do the EMS, so we are able to give much better delivery. So that is one. And the second is innovation, that people want to see new features. People want to, for example, Siemens, they will have their own protocol for communication, and which will not be the same protocol which Schneider is using. And we have that capability to make products to suit the protocol which they use. I think these
which are customized. Okay, so that's why it holds a good sort of advantage in a B2B business.
Yeah, especially the last bit. Let's say 80% of the instrument is common, but the last 20% you have to customize.
I think last but not least, we should not forget to add is the agility to respond to the market and these things. So these, of course, are the business enablers. We talked about innovation. We talked about the backward integrations. Since the company, it's very agile. That way, if you look at our business, look at our setup overall. So we are able to respond to the market very quickly as compared to any big multinationals, which, because we can very quickly work upon the ideas we can on the concepts, we can design the product, develop the product, also put it into market very quickly. So the overall development cycle is cut down to a large extent, and that is why even if it is a non-standard requirement from the customer, I think we are probably the first one who can say to a customer, okay, we are there, please go ahead with this.
Sure. Let's close the conversation with an information for our viewers. Any one of you can answer. Please let us know what is the amount of funds you're raising from the market. And basically, you've already stated that around 140 CR is going into capacity expansion. So let us know, apart from that, what is the fund usage?
So 75 crores is what we are raising here, because we also generate our own funds. The PE is also exiting the company. There was a PE for the last 10 years. It's a global environment fund. So they will go out of the business. Total raise will be of the order of 480 crores. But a lot of it, the promoters also have a plan they are committed. I am from IIT Bombay. By the way, I did my engineering at IIT Bombay, went to Stanford, came back from US. So I am committed to IIT Jodhpur setting up a center for green energy. That's the new concept. So there we are committed. So we are raising some funds to fund that CSR activity. We also fund some other CSR activities. GF is exiting, and 75 crores we put as primary into the company. These are the usage of the funds that we will raise.
Thank you, sir, for doing the honors, and I think perhaps a very nice initiative with the IIT. So that perhaps is something which is going to be appreciated. But thanks a lot to both of you for coming on our show and really giving us all the information to understand the company and also sort of look at the IPO with much higher information.
Sure. Thanks
you
for
very
this opportunity, and hope to see you soon again. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And dear viewers, that was a wrap on this conversation. Hope you enjoyed it.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to never miss an update from Nirmal Bang.